at some point in your career, you start to ask yourself, how can I tell the stories that I really want to?
What did that role teach you? Not just as an actor, but as an actor.
Influence is important because then you can represent your culture in a certain way, or you can represent a conversation or a political stance, or you can just have a message that you really want to put into the world.
It takes so much power.
Something interesting about what it makes you.
Meet Andre Fyffe, BAFTA member, producer, and the man who turns ideas into unforgettable moments on screen. His vision isn't just seen, it's felt. Every frame, every scene, pulls you in like you're living it yourself.
And it's pleasure to have you in my show.
Yes.
Welcome to Beat Trains. How you're doing today? How you're going?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me. It's lovely. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. Actually, we are going before about the films,
Yeah.
the roles, and the voice that moving through rooms.
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask you something about like who is Andre?
I guess I would say I am young man from Northwest London, and I've always had a passion for art. I've always liked drawing and filming and watching movies and films, and then that's what brought me into the arts.
How did you time at Slavia in theater school affect the way you see the world?
Well, I see the work through school.
Yeah, Slavia School of Arts. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Studied, yeah.
Yeah, I went to Sylvia, yes, and I guess when I was at Sylvia, I really enjoyed being around lots of kids that all wanted to do the same thing, and that was really fun. And it meant that when you're around those kind of kids, it rubs off on you. You know what I mean? And then you're more passionate, you're more hungry, and you're like, okay, cool. If I stay around these people, it will also elevate you. And that's exactly what Sylvia Young did for me when I was a kid, and I was very fortunate, and I was able to like really work through, and also competition. Like they were very competitive.
Lot of competition.
A lot of competition at that school, and like kids are mean. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They don't mean to be, but they are very mean, and it means that you get tough.
Yeah.
And you need to be tough in this industry. There's a lot of no's and all that kind of stuff. So when I was at Sylvia Young, I really learned how to be competitive, like in a very healthy way, but it made me get more competitive with the work that I do. Yeah.
That's great. And what was one moment where no give you something more powerful than yes ever could?
I think the no's are important because it strengthens your tolerance. I think the game is, when you're an actor and a producer like me, you have to be prepared that you're gonna do a lot of auditions and you're gonna get told a lot of no's. And the no's actually makes you stronger. It makes you wanna be more confident. And then also when you approach it, you don't take it so personal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes you get no's because they'll say, "Oh, Andre, you're maybe too tall," or they found someone else with the right size, or he looks like the person of the original story, or whatever it is. And so therefore, when I'm getting these no's, it's building up my confidence and also building up my tolerance and realizing that it's not personal. And actually these people might like me, but I just might not be the right fit. And then, when the film or the TV show comes out and I see it, and I'm like, actually, yeah, you're right. I wasn't the right fit for that. And I'm almost glad. At the time, I'm like, damn, I wish I got it. But then when I see it, sometimes I'm like, yeah, I'm glad I never did. Do you know what I mean? And that's just how it goes. And that's important.
Who was Andre when no one is watching? Who was you actually?
Well, I think I'm very determined. I'm always passionate about everything I do. So everything I'm involved in, I'm always like, no matter what it is, I always want to like do a lot.
How you involved in these movies first? Where did you involve in these movies at the first?
I think it was just like, when your parents, they send you to do different activities on the weekend. It was like that. My mom just made me do different things when I was a kid. So on the weekends, I used to do like swimming, you do sports, you do different things, and then my mom made me do some acting. And then that's kind of how I got into it. And then Sylvia Young came a bit afterwards, which was great. And then that's when I started to realize I really enjoy it. And then like with most people, or well, for me anyway, as soon as someone pays you, as soon as they pay you to do it, then you're like, okay, I like doing this for fun, but now someone has paid me to do it. And now I'm like, oh, maybe I could make a career out of this thing. And now I need to figure out, how do I make a career out of this? How can I make a living, or a decent living? So yeah.
How competitive these British production companies in the UK actually? How do you feel for being part of this production team in the UK?
I think production teams in the UK, I've worked with a lot throughout my career, and every team is different. But one thing for sure is that there is a pace that you need to get used to. Like there is a quick turnover, and that's with every production company I've ever worked with. There's always this like intensity, and you have to be willing to move very fast. Because we're on a deadline, there's not enough money, whatever have you. So it always feels like you have to be like very sure, and you have to be strong with your instincts. And then even with my own company, when I started building up my own production company, which I co-founded with my two other business partners, which was Dee William and Stefan B. Mitchell. When we started Illicit Pictures, it's the same kind of thing, but we want to tell our stories that we really want to see. So I loved working with all these other production companies, but then at some point in your career, you start to ask yourself, how can I tell the stories that I really want to see and make? And then it's like, let's make our own company, find ways to get funding, and then build off of that.
It takes so much power.
Yeah, you have the power, you have the say so, and you have influence. Do you know what I mean? And the influence is important because then you can represent your culture in a certain way, or you can represent a conversation or a political stance, or you can just have a message that you really want to put into the world when you're working on someone else's project, not all the time, because it's not yours. So sometimes you can only have so much say, you know, and not always is it taken in. But with your own production company, you have the chance to really push that and say what it is you really want to say. And that's important.
What did that role teach you, not just as an actor, but as a man?
I think it teaches you about like tenacity and having the ambition as a man. I think, you know, as an actor, you learn so much about yourself, and then also about the characters that you play. And you get to understand why people do what they do and why they say what they say. And it makes you move different in the world. I think actors are very, or the actors that I'm around, we're observant. And we really notice and feel everybody's energy. And it helps you move in a different way, I think. I think you're more woke, if you must, or you're more aware of people's like nuances and behaviors. Because a lot of conversation is happening even when people don't speak. And as an actor, you're picking up all these like social cues, non-verbal cues, and it makes you better as a person, I think, for sure. I think everyone should do a bit of acting. I think like, I know we already do it in schools, but I think people should do it like
we do
all the way. I think because there's something about acting that people learn as well. Like even like speaking in public, how to like express an emotion and being really clear about how in which you feel. Like all these things happen through character, but this can also, you can use it for yourself. Do you know what I mean? These tools can be used in other ways.
So I just saw you attended the BBC, the thing, what really like, when you land something like a BBC role, how did you prepare differently compared to a short film industry? Like?
I think it's all the same, bro. I don't think it's different. I think when I did Casualty on BBC, I think it was all the same. Even up to all my short films before, I prepare in the same kind of way. I read the script, I ask myself the intention of the characters and the intention of my character and what my character wants, what he needs, and I start to break down his relationships with everybody else. I think it's always about finding what works. And once you've learned it really well, then you can really mess around and play with how it could be delivered or said, or how would you do it, etc. So I don't think there's no difference. And when I'm on the bigger shows or bigger productions, the only difference, in my opinion, is money and budget. And we got bigger cameras, but the skill is still the same. Do you know what I mean? I still have to deliver these lines to somebody else and make it believable. And that's what is really important. when I was in acting classes or acting school, my teacher used to say you have to make the other person look good, you know? So as long as we focus on this scene that we're doing, and I believe the moment, and I really believe that we're brothers, for example, then that's what's really important. It doesn't matter if it's for Netflix or BBC or for a little short film, you know what I mean? As long as you can make sure that this is really, really key, and this moment is key, and this is real life, and you really play that out, then it doesn't matter. You know?
We have both different like stage or screen, right?
Yeah. Which one?
Two are different energies.
Different energies, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Where do you feel most alive?
Always on stage. Because on stage, you know, what I love about stage is that you get instant reaction. So if I do something on stage, I did Macbeth at Hackney Empire, and we're talking like 3,000 people in the audience. So if I shout, I can hear people, like you feel people jump, or if I cry, I can feel people feeling sad. You can hear it, you feel it, and it's live, you know. So when something does go wrong as well, there's like this adrenaline that you have with all the other actors. And when you make the audience laugh, you really just hear them laughing. It's instant, and that feeling is, you feel so alive. Do you know what I mean? You're having so much fun. Whereas in film and TV,
so nowadays the streamers are doing the same thing, right?
They're
making people to laugh at
whatever, or it's fake laughter. Or sometimes when you're on set and you're filming, there's no one else because everyone has to be quiet. So it could be really funny, but people on set have to keep quiet. So you might hear a little bit of laughter, but not so much because they want to keep quiet, or whatever. So it's like you don't actually know, and that's why people take multiple takes, because we're trying to find if we're getting it right. And the only way you will know really until you get it in the edit, and then you make people watch it, and then you ask, does that translate? Yeah. So it's a hard one. One of my last films I worked on was Spa. It's a short film, and it's online.
I saw that. It's
boxing
really
one.
good. Yeah.
And when I was working on that, there was so many moments where I was wondering if it's funny enough, because it's like, funny is also not just the lines, but it's also the situation. So we're constantly having to go back and go, let's do this one more time and shift the situation ever so slightly. But if you did it live, you'll know it's funny because people will laugh. And if they don't laugh, you go, yeah, that was funny. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, that's not gonna work. We don't do that again. Like that, you don't get the instant response, and that's the difference. And that's why I still love stage. I think again, every actor should do it. Like every actor should start and do stage, and then should shift and do film and TV stuff, and every so often go back to stage, because that live performance, you can't fake it. You know, you don't get to have multiple takes. You just have to be in it and really commit to it. Yeah.
You have to be obsessed with the screen.
Yeah.
How do you feel yourself when you are seeing on the screen, yourself on the screen?
How do I feel?
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Right? Like it's a beautiful feeling, and if it translates and it works, I love it. I'm not like other actors. Other actors are like, oh, I don't like watching myself. Me, I watch myself because I think when I watch myself, I can be objective and go, do I enjoy what I'm watching, and do I believe this is real, and do I connect with this character? And I'm very critical, so I think when I finish watching a few times, I'll go, all right, cool. I know I can do better next time. If I ever have a similar character, but chances are I probably won't. But if I ever do, then I know next time I'm going to do more of this and less of this and whatever have you. So yeah, I don't mind.
What impact you are trying to create in this film festival?
I think it was a combination of loads of things. It's about what you see, the reaction you get from people. There's that. You see how much money you can make. So there's that. And then you just feel there's a fulfillment in it, you know? Like when you're doing something that you enjoy and there's a purpose, there is something that is just like a spiritual thing that happens as well. Like there's a fulfillment there. Every time you do it, you feel fulfilled. And then that's the impact. And then now you want to do it again and again and again. Because every time you do it, you enjoy it so much. And it's work, but it doesn't feel like work. But we know it's work. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Why don't it feel like work?
It doesn't feel like work because you enjoy it so much. You're so passionate about it. So it doesn't feel like work.
So anyways, we are putting our energy a lot into that. I feel like work it is.
Yeah, of course, but when you're doing it and you're in it so much, you enjoy it, you know, and you find the enjoyment and you find the love for it, and then it doesn't feel too tough, it doesn't feel too hard. Do you know what I mean?
Where does that stillness come from? Is it learned or lived? Where does it come?
I think that's a good one. I think it's learned over time. I think you learn that less is more, and you learn that you're allowed to be still, and a lot can still be happening. Especially in film and TV, it's different for stage, but in film and TV, when you're still, the camera can come in closer to you, and as long as you're thinking about it and it's running through you, then the camera will notice and pick that up. Because it's all in the eyes, right? It's in the body language. And then on stage, I mean, you could be still and hold the stage for a moment, but then you have to have moments of explosions so that the feeling gets transported throughout the room.
We have a lot of like stories in between our life, right? Injections and
Injections, yeah.
hustle
Mm-hmm.
and silence.
Mm-hmm.
They're all being part of your our story.
Yeah.
Absolutely, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how do you protect your peace
How do you protect your face?
in an industry
Yeah,
that demands so much?
yeah, yeah.
You have to protect your peace, right?
Yeah.
First of all, you have to be healthy.
Yeah.
Anyways, so
Mhm.
how do you protect that all?
I think, yeah, you're right. You stay healthy, you protect yourself in that way. I think for me, the industry, like you said, is really tough. So the way to rejuvenate and manage is to take breaks. I think you're allowed to take breaks in our industry. I think a lot of people don't talk about that, but you should. And mentally, it's good for you to recharge, take moments out of the game and like go on a holiday or rest. Or if you can't go on a holiday, just take some time away and like read and like relax. Find peace in that way. And for me, that's what I do. I go on holiday and I'll like really cut off. I'll come off social media. Like I'll really take a break because it requires so much work, right? And even like acting, if you're acting on a lot of different shows or different projects. So sometimes it's good to find moments to take a break and have fun. Do you know what I mean? Go away and do fun stuff, like live life outside of your industry. And that is also brings peace. Yeah, no. And if you're a religious person, you believe in God, praying and all that stuff, meditation is really important. I meditate all the time. So yeah.
So when we are working, we need a lot of concentration, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So how do you feel when you're working on the screens and all this everything?
Mhm.
How you manage yourself to stay in that part? So how do you accept that role in your life?
I think when you're playing it, you find things or moments to help you stay in character. So it's not just about going over the lines in the moments, but then it's also about really focusing and honing in your skills. And again, that comes from meditation. I think for me, I get really silent. I really want to hear my inside voice, and I want to go over what it is that my character wants within this scene or throughout the whole story or whatever it is. And I really want to focus on that, and that helps me stay focused. And it means that you'll say things in a different way as well, because you're so focused on the character really wants to get out of this room, for example. So I'm really going over, I need to get out of this room, I need to get out of this room. So when I now deliver these lines, it's like that's what's actually really playing. So even if I'm telling you everything's fine, it's okay. But really, even when I'm saying this to you, it feels like I don't want to be here and I really want to get out of this room. And it's about really focusing in on the feeling of the character and where does the character feel, what are they dealing with, what are they going through.
As a British creative film industry or a producer,
Mm-hmm.
what boxes have you had to break? And not just how you see it,
Mm-hmm.
but how you see yourself as well.
There's always going to be barriers.
How you are destroying all the boxes.
Yeah, and I think as a producer, you realize that there's a lot of barriers. we have issues with like even finances. So it takes longer, I've noticed, with like Asian
So funding
filmmakers.
is funding is the main thing. In
Find
the
funding. Yeah. As a producer, I get funding at the same levels as others. Um, so that is like a major barrier. And I've been very fortunate enough to be funding or had funding before with different companies and organizations. And I know like it takes a lot of time and effort. And a lot of filmmakers, that is like one of their biggest hurdles, I think. I think resources is not so bad because we're resourceful people in general, especially when you come from a low income background, you find ways to find resources, right?
Absolutely.
But the next level or the next big hurdle is, okay, cool, this is what I can do on a little bit. I need to find a way to get more. Because when I get more, I can do more. So I think that is the biggest hurdle. And I still think, even now in my career, I still think that is a hurdle that I'm constantly trying to really go over, because I know once I really go over that hurdle, then the work will really get louder and stronger and all that kind of stuff, right? Because you have more. And when you have more, you can then be more resourceful. You can use the skills that you learned on less to also now do more.
What's one movie that motivates you?
What movie?
Yeah, a movie that motivates you the most to be so successful man in this world.
That's a good question. So I got so many movies that I love. I think one of my films that really motivate me, I would say, is Ali by Will Smith. He
What is that about?
It's Muhammad Ali, so it's a biopic of Muhammad Ali, and it's played by Will Smith. And I love the film. It's a really long film, but I love the film because it really motivates me when I watch it, because it's that part of Muhammad Ali's story where he loses and then he has to build himself back up to then go to that fight again, and then he beats I think he's Ronnie Lenston or whatever his name is, and then he becomes heavyweight champion. But I love that story arc because obviously we know Muhammad Ali, he's one of the greatest boxers in the world, but then we know that you get to see the human part of him and dealing with all these other stuff, which a lot of people might not know. But in that film, they really tackle that a lot. And it makes you realize that everyone is human and everyone is dealing with something while also trying to get something else.
So we need to respect all
So
all
yeah,
of them. Yeah.
and it feels realistic. And that's why I love that's one of my favorite films, or one of the films that I watch that and I really feel motivated after watching a film like that. Yeah.
So what would be one advice you want to give to the people who are struggling with to be more successful,
Yeah.
but just studying over in one path? What's your advice to the people?
Wow. I think there's so much advice, man. I'm like, some of my best advice has always been like to just be tenacious and stick to is what it is that you want to do, and have a fearless approach. But don't be nervous to be adaptable. You can have a goal, but sometimes you may have to go around or up or down to get to the goal. I don't think the goal should change, but your adaptability or how in which you go about getting it should be open-minded. My mentor said something to me years ago, and it stuck with me, is dream big dreams, but realize short-term realistic goals are the key to success. So you can have a big dream, but then we need to have short-term realistic goals that are actually going to make that happen. Because it's all good and well saying you want to be a working actor, or you want to make 2 films a year, or you want to be in a TV show. That's great. Now it's about what are you going to do, or how are you going to reverse engineer this thing to get to that? What are the short-term realistic goals? And something I've come to understand when I was growing up as a teenager is that my realistic goal to me might not be realistic to somebody else. But as long as I'm realistic in myself and I know that is achievable, then I can do it. And I think every goal should be attached to a time frame. I think there's something important about having a sense of urgency.
So we need to manage the time.
Manage your time and know that, I'm going to do this within 6 months. I'm going to do this within 3 months. And don't be too pressured about if you don't achieve it. But just see what happens when you do put a time frame on it. because it's something important. When people put an urgency on something, if there's an emergency, we move with more diligence, and we're also looking for a way to make that happen. And there's an attraction that happens in that moment, I believe, because because it's so important and because it's an emergency and it's on top of your mind, other things start to almost fall in place so that that can become a reality.
Around the UK, it's around 80% of all major studio films shot in a UK in recent years have used British crew.
Yeah.
And locations and facilities. That's insane, right? And what is going on behind the scenes?
Yeah.
Actually, how they are producing, how they are directing, how they are just even UK use a tax reliefs.
To bring people more into the country.
Exactly. What's going on beyond the scenes actually?
I think beyond the scene, like you said, there's the tax credit incentives, which encourages other countries now to film in the UK, which helps those big studios and companies that like rent out cameras and lights, etc. So then that brings a lot of money to the industry. And I think another thing that's happening behind the scenes is that a lot of people are not watching as much television, and everyone's obviously streaming more. So I think streamers are trying to find a way to also grow within their own space, and a lot of people are now trying to figure out ways to get onto or work with more streaming channels.
What do you think about streamers?
I think it's great. I think it's a great way to capitalize off your.
So do you think that they're creating some content in this world?
Yeah.
How?
Yeah, I think it's important. I think you need different ways to execute films and shows. I don't think everything can also go to cinema. I think cinema is becoming harder. I think I still love cinema. I still go to the cinema, but it's also becoming it will slowly shift, and we've got to find ways to make movies enjoyable again. I think right now the industry is going through a stage where they're making a lot of like remakes, part 1, part 2, part 3, right? Because they know those work in cinema. But what they need to now find, I think the next thing is to find very niche but broad creative ideas that can also work in cinema. And then it'd be cinema, streaming, and then people will start to enjoy that process, and they will still want to go to watch, I don't know, Mission Impossible. They're still going to want to go and watch it in the cinema because of how big it is. But then they want to also rewatch it multiple times on their streaming platforms. And that's kind of the beautiful balances of finding that. I think that's where the industry is like moving towards.
I think some of the cultures are destroying by looking the movies, and they are showing up some different activities in the movies which people cannot see.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think so. Not now, anyway. I know that you have AI and stuff, and that's become a thing. And people are a bit like still trying to understand how we can use AI to be useful, but not get to a point where it takes out a lot of the production. We don't want to get to that point, because then it stops us from being creative, because you're making a computer or software generate it, whereas before we enjoy the process. So I think no matter how advanced certain softwares get, the human will always know when they're watching it, this doesn't feel real. Do you know what I mean? And there's that as well. So we want to always still get back to the feeling of this was created by a group of people, a team of people, and not just someone just put some information into a software and the software then made this film. You know, you want to be able to be a part of that process, and it gives people opportunities and jobs, etc. So yeah.
Yesterday I saw one post in LinkedIn, and they're from like Egypt production or something like that. Their team, they posted in social media like they literally posted this. The next time you see a dragon flying or city collapsing on screen, remember there is a good chance that magic was crafted by brilliant British minds behind the scenes.
Yes.
Is it really going to happen like that?
Yeah, I think so.
They're creating such type of world.
Yeah, I think you know the technology is getting so advanced. So therefore, it means people have to figure out new ways because the technology is so advanced. People can now find new ways and innovative ways to tell a great story, and now they can almost be more creative because they know that the technology is there to support that. Do you know what I mean?
Extremely advanced.
Extremely advanced. So it means that now we can go even beyond that and see more and more images that perhaps you wouldn't see on a regular basis. And that's important as well. Like we need to see more of those images because the film is meant to take you on a journey, right? It's an escapism. So it's meant to, when you watch it, you're meant to escape in the world of that thing that we're watching, whether it's in space or we're in a Marvel movie, and do you know what I mean? And whatever it is, like we got to feel like we are also there being transported. So yeah.
How do you be so grounded when you're with like actor or producer or like an artist? How do you deal with all these people?
Boy, I think, well, when I'm a producer and I'm dealing with people, it's about realizing that everybody has a job to do. And it's about, as a producer, finding the best ways to get everyone to come together to support one vision.
So it's your job to see everyone that are working or not?
Yeah. So even on my last film, I had about, I want to say, about 30, 35, 36 people on set. And it's about finding a common vision, right? And getting every department to know what the vision is for this film. And managing that and everyone's expectations. And that's how you manage people. And then to stay humble as an actor is important because how do you play these characters and how do you have the level of sympathy and empathy if you yourself are not humble? You have to find the level of humility to play these people in its truest form. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's important because, you know, we're not, what do they say? You know, we're not like firemen. We're not saving people's lives. Like it is fun. It is art, and that's how we should take it. So we shouldn't take it too serious. We should have fun doing it, and we should always stay humble, no matter how successful you get. Do you know what I mean? Because we see a lot of people's careers go like right up, but then go right down. And often when you see the journeys, you're like, they wasn't humble enough, and they wasn't nice, and to be kind. And these things and these qualities is important because in the entertainment industry, I think it is a lot of that is based around who you are as a person. And being kind is important. Do you know what I mean?
What role do film critics play in the industry?
Well, they play a good part. They can help your film, you know, a lot, like with the marketing. But you know what it is nowadays? Everyone has a phone now. Everyone's a critic.
Even 13 years old have a phone.
Right, so a young person could watch the film and go on their Instagram and make a review, for example, right? And if that said person has loads of followers, that person is a critic. Do you know what I mean? Like that person has access to an audience. So I think critics play a massive part, and if they give a review that is intriguing, whether they like the film or not is whatever. But if they can give a review of saying that they felt intrigued by these things or they felt this about this film and it moved them in a certain way, or it made them conversate about certain scenes and moments, and they want to double check or ask their audience, what do they think about this scene? Do you think it means something else? Do you think the director's trying to tell you this message? Blah, blah, blah. Like, that's good, right? And that could also elevate the film. And it's important. So as a producer, when I make a film with a team of people, I want to show it to the right critics and the right people that are going to give honest opinion. But also when they share it, they're going to get other audiences to go, well, look, these guys made a film, it's about this, it's interesting, it's this, it's that. You guys got to watch it for yourself to see. And that's important.
What's the difference between TV shows and films?
TV shows in terms of execution is that it's longer. You can go on a journey with a TV show. With a film, it's one-off, it's just there. Often there isn't a lot of movement within the film. You can have part 2s and 3s and sequels and stuff, but for the most part, it's really contained. It's a different level of storytelling. with TV, you can have different versions of stories all at the same time. So we can have different roles of stories. And I love that. And as an actor, same thing. With a TV show, you're excited because you're in episodes. You can grow with the character. Whereas in a film, the character's already fully fleshed out from the beginning of the movie, do you know what I mean? Whereas a TV show, we can grow to love, hate different characters, and then change your mind and go, actually, I'm in season 5 of whatever, and now actually, this is my favorite character, and I don't like this woman anymore, do you know what I mean? Blah, blah. Like, you can change your mind. Whereas in a film, it's so contained that you decide right from the beginning, you're like, okay, cool, bad guy, good guy, girlfriend, best friend, boom, 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 great. Boom, 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 journey, movie's done. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it moves different because it's contained. Yeah.
If you want to remember one thing,
Mm-hmm.
can you remember the first time you felt like this was not just acting, but it's my complete life path?
Oh, that's a good question. When I was young, before I went to Sylvia Young, I used to go to another acting class in Woolston, in Northwest London. And I remember a teacher, I performed and I made a mistake and I came off stage and my teacher made me go back on stage and start the scene again. And I think in that moment, I felt a bit embarrassed because obviously I made the mistake. It was very obvious. But also in that moment, she made me do it again. And it was very liberating because I realized that I'm always going to get another shot at this. And because she made me take another shot, I realized that I think in that moment, I realized I'm going to do this more and I'm going to take it more seriously. And that was really important because a lot of actors don't like talking about when they flop or when it goes wrong. Yeah. But when that happened to me, yes, it felt really like I was very upset that it went wrong. But afterwards, I felt great. And you have, like you said, you have this moment where you're like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna keep doing this forever. Like, because you've come through the other end of it, and you look back and you go, yeah, I can do this again. And I had those moments throughout my career, and you get it in different ways, but it feels the same. Where you think something didn't work, you go through it, and then you look back and you go, no, I'm glad that didn't work because now I feel so much better. I feel like a new leaf, like something opened up inside me, and that has now led me to this. And now I want to keep going because it's something interesting about what it makes you. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not always just about doing it. It's not just about the result. It's just about doing it. Yeah. If you see, yeah. It's like when I tell my friends, it's like when you see a woman that you like and you speak to her for the first time. Yeah. It's nervous, but you do it, and it's what it makes you. Yeah. So even if she doesn't give you her number or she doesn't like you back, it doesn't matter because it's what it does to you in that moment. And then even when she walks away, you go, I can do that again. You know what I mean? And then you're like, okay, cool. That didn't work, but the next time I'm gonna be so much better. And then I think that's what I went through, like, as an actor. And the same with films. I made some terrible films at the start of my career, but it's like it's what made me. When I made that film, I went, yeah, this film is not the best film, but it made me better. It made me sharper. It made me better with editing or lighting, or like it made me better. And then I'm like, okay, cool. Next time, boom,
how that made you like better? In a disciplined way, like, or in a motivational
just in like a trial and error way, like in a way that it goes, okay, cool. I did this thing. I'm reviewing it and I'm looking at the pros and cons. My strengths are this. My weaknesses are this. Next time I'm gonna do it differently. And you can only learn that through trying. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's like even in school. That's why they make you do a mock exam, right? You do a mock exam to see how well you actually know this stuff, and now you know how to go home and like what to revise on. Because you did a mock exam and you realize, I know these things, I definitely don't know this. Now I need to work on that for the real exam. And I think that's a life skill.
For the final exam, right?
Right. So it's the same thing with this, the same thing with my career. I think even with auditioning, going into audition, doing certain things, and going, yo, that I ain't doing that again. You know what I mean? Like you learn something in those moments, and it's what it makes you. So that when you go the next time, you're like so much better, and you can only get better because it's trial and error every time. Do you know what I mean? So yeah.
How we need to be like a person when we want something like that?
Yeah, you gotta be obsessively focused. You've got to know what it is that you want, and then be almost so sound in that decision and writing it all out, and really understanding and visualizing how you're gonna go about getting that thing. And when you move like that, there is something special. Like the world shifts and moves to that beat. So if you want it to happen, it will happen. And people, you meet people as well on the way, and you're very clear about what you want. And when you're clear about it, it helps your focus. But then when other things come into your life, you'll know what to say yes to and what to say no to, because it doesn't align with what it is that you really, really want and what's going to make you really happy and make you feel fulfilled. Yeah.
So a lot of people tells that no can destroy a lot of mentality of other people.
Yeah.
So what's your perspective on that? We should always say no to people. What say is not good.
I think you gotta say no sometimes. Like it's important. Like, but sometimes you have to say no. You have to say no to yourself. It's a form of discipline, right? And then you have to say no to other people. And sometimes when you're a producer and you're working on projects, people come with different ideas. People want to do this way or do that way, or they wanna film here instead of here, and you have to be like, no, we can't do that. You know what I mean? We can't do that because
you have to stop them.
You know what I mean? Because there's no budget. We don't have the money to shoot over here. We can only shoot over here. Well, whatever the reasons are, but you have to know how to manage that. And you have then, and the only way to manage that really well is you have to be sure in what you're trying to achieve. And then people will trust your no's and they'll trust your yeses. And sometimes you can get it wrong, but it's also about being sure. I think there's a certain level of surety that you have to have in order to get people to respect your no. And also it's beneficial to know that I'm saying no to this because it doesn't align with my overall goal. Because sometimes it doesn't. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And how different this editing style or affects the film's acting? Like it will completely change after the editing, or
with editing?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. You know, because what's that thing they say? You could be doing a monologue and the director is zooming in onto your hands or on the other person. Mm-hmm. So there is sometimes you watch a film back or a TV show and you're like, they did it wrong. They used a different take, or that's not what I thought it would come out. But again, for me, it's about just playing the truth of the matter, or the truth of the story, and then leave the director to decide how they want to piece it together. And so long as you do your part, that will come through. Because when you watch it, you'll say, "Yeah, he's done his part." You know what I mean? You know, and that's important. So I think, and there's a thing that I learned in school. Which we used to call it like camera time, or we called it like camera time, where I know like we're filming something and you're gonna tell me, "Oh, Andre, on this scene we're gonna put the camera on you this time, blah blah." I know in this moment, this is my moment, this is my time. So I really hone in on how to really look good for this moment and really be in this moment, because it's gonna look good on camera. Do you know what I mean? And that's camera time. I know this is the camera time I need to really utilize, because they're likely to use it if I really commit to that scene. Yeah.
How do showrunners impact a television series like?
Mm-hmm. It's important with showrunners or like TV producers. When you have your showrunners, often the showrunners are also the creator of the show, or they work closely with the creators of the show, and they pan out the whole show and like how it's all gonna go. And I think you watch their impact because they again, it's about that vision and knowing how they want the show to be executed. So when you work on multiple different shows, you realize that the showrunner is important. They get to really tell you and reinforce what the vision is every step of the way, and how it affects the overall sequence, the overall series. So yeah.
What sort of like it's more about audience or like film industry roles? Whose hard work is more in that?
Wow, so I think everyone has a part to play, man. I don't think there's one over the other. I think everyone's is impactful. Everyone makes it a hit. You know, it can't be a hit without the audience. Ultimately, you make art for someone else to see. So the audience decides if it's good. The masses decide if it's good. Do you know what I mean? Like you watch Bollywood films, and if it's good in India and it does really well in India, then other people around the world will watch that and go, yeah, no, this is good. You know what I mean? Like there is something
getting reactions for the Bollywood movies.
Right, where there is something in that film that speaks to the masses. And there'll be different moments and different things. So you might see something in it and you might love it. And then I might watch it and go, I love it, and I love it for these other reasons. Do you know what I mean? Well, like, I love Bollywood films for the music numbers. Like, I like watching musicals. So when I watch the musicals, I'm like, this is what I love. I love when they break out into song and they perform and then they go back into scene again. But some people might not like that, but I like watching that because I know how hard it is, but I know how good the actors are because they can break out into song, make you feel the same emotion, and then go back to the scene. Do you know what I mean? And it's just another way of telling a good story. So yeah.
Who is the one actor that you think is more obsessed with the feelings?
I think one of my favorites still will be Denzel Washington. I think he's just so captivating.
Denzel Washington.
Yeah, and I think the way he performs, he's so in the story, so in the scene. Way he talks, his mannerisms, all of it. I think when you watch him, you always get such a great performance because he's so committed, and it comes from the theatre background, right? It's that feeling that he's able to really, really show. He's a legend, do you know what I mean? And I think he's one of the best.
Even some of his speeches I listen sometimes. They are legitimately the best. I even saw many times of his speeches in the universities and in the like in awards.
Mm-hmm.
He's the best one I ever seen.
Of course.
Yeah. When all the work is done,
mm-hmm.
people look back absolutely after you are completing your all shooting.
Yeah.
You're gonna look back and what do you want your body of work to whisper about the man behind it all?
Ooh, good question. I think first thing that comes to me is one thing that I wanted to say or question is does this elicit a feeling? I think every work I want to be a part of should elicit some kind of or provoke some kind of thoughts or feeling. My last short film, one of my last short films I produced was My Jerome. And when people talk about that film, I love the idea that people say how moved they were by the film. And I want that. I want that to be, when they watch all my catalogs of work, they can look back and go, I was constantly felt like a shift or moved by his film, you know, and it made me want to do something. If your films or your shows can make someone want to go and do something different with their life, I think that's a success. And if it makes them happier, that's a success. And I think that's what I want my films or shows or any projects I work on. I want it to that when they leave, they feel moved or whatever, but then it makes them want to do something. Yeah.
What would be your advice on relationships when you are doing this all producing and or like an actor or whatever you are when you are in the film industry? How do you deal with the relationships, the personal relationships?
With other creatives. I think relationships are important. The whole industry is based off relationships, right? They say it's who you know, and who knows you. So it's about honoring the friendships and the relationships that you build, and just be, again, it's about being
What do you
kind.
think? Like it may destroy you at some point. The relationships may destroy you some point.
No, I don't think so. I think if you honor good relationships and you build good relationships, it should be okay. And it's about remembering that everyone is human, and that's why you have to be kind to everybody. It costs nothing to be nice. So if you're in an industry like mine and it is based on friendship, it is based on relationships, a lot of it for the most part. So it's not just talent. So in that sense, it's about then building genuine friendships, and being resourceful and being useful. I think the relationships I know that work really well in my industry is when I'm useful to you, you're useful to me. And you can rely on me as much as I can rely on you. And that helps. So when you're now thinking of a film or someone says, hey, I need an actor for a movie, do you know anyone? You could recommend me because you know I'm useful, I'm reliable, I'm kind. And if you can constantly do that and build those friendship and relationships genuinely, you will have a sustainable career.
What was your love life
in my career?
Yeah, in your career or in your life? Or...
I think you have low moments. I don't think I have a low.
It may change your life.
I don't know. I would say I have more low moments. You have moments where maybe things are not working or you're getting a lot of rejection, but even those moments is not. You're just aware that you're not happy because you're not doing what you want to do. But then it's about finding ways to still do that. But yeah, I think I have low moments, and the best way to deal with that again is what we spoke about earlier, which is like rejuvenating yourself, finding peace, going away, taking breaks, and then finding a new way to approach it, and talking about it with other industry friends or with family members, and finding ways to achieve that thing that you really want to achieve. Yeah.
How you are going to recreate that situation again when you got the rejection?
Mm-hmm.
What sort of like?
I think you're annoyed about the situation, but the way I think is that this is just a no for now. This is a no for this thing, but my yes is on its way, and I have to believe and have the faith that that will come. And it's a hard industry. It's like we get more no's than yeses, right? Like we face a lot of rejection, and it's about being okay with that.
Even in production teams, there are like 130,000 people are like employed roles in the production teams.
Yeah.
And over like 50,000 people are getting rejected every year.
Yeah.
That's insane, right?
It's a lot.
So I'm literally thinking that how much they're gonna be suffering, and everybody do hard work, right?
Yeah.
To get something in their life, to enter into that field. So everyone get heartbreaks and breakthroughs in their life. But when that hard work is going to be successful, it takes time.
It does. It takes time, but nothing good comes quick. Like if it's meant to be, it will come, and you have to recognize that. Okay, cool. It's a dry spell right now. Nothing is working. Find something else as well. Like do other things alongside the chosen career path, and do things that complement that. Right. So as an actor, if I'm not acting loads, I'm producing. And when I produce, that means I can also then put myself as an actor in these shows and these projects that I'm working on. So then I'm filling that again. Maybe a lot of actors I know, they write as well. So they go with other writers and they write up a story, and then you're still feeling that creative buzz. And that's important. But yeah, it's not easy. And like you said, the employment to hiring rate the gap is very big. But then we're in an industry now where you can create anything you want on your phone. So then my question is, why are you not creating your own content? Why are you not pushing yourself in a different kind of way? Because you never know what that could then lead to. You know what I mean? Yeah.
If someone listening and wants to do what you do, what's one thing they should know or expect from you?
Ooh, like we said, it's hard work, and you need to find why you want to do it and the passion, because when you do receive these rejections, you need to go back to that and really recognize this is a no, but I know why I'm doing this anyway.
Well, you're doing this.
And you have to, the best, like I said, the best advice is to have the goals and be really focused in on it. Yeah, I think, and having that dream.
How hard you work hard to get something you want for.
You just have to put in the work. I don't think there's no one way. You just have to put in the work. Like, the work is the work. You have to work on your craft. You have to learn it, absorb, get all the materials, find all the information. One big saying I always used to say to myself is, information changes situation. You have to constantly find ways to be informed.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Information
because if you're informed, then you make a better decision, and better decisions change your situation, right? There's so much ways to get to this building, but you know the shortcut, right? I don't. I might take the long way, but if I'm informed, I'm going to take the better, shorter way, or the more efficient way, and it's going to better me down the line. Do you know what I mean? So even at a very young age, I was able to know that information and go, okay, cool. These are really good agents, not these people. These agencies are not that good. These ones are really good. So go with them instead. Like, making those decisions because I was informed meant that I would be in more TV projects and commercials and all this kind of stuff from very young. And then that helps my situation. And so on and so forth. So it's about being constantly informed and making better decisions and better choices. Yeah.
As you said about AI, how has technology does changing this filmmaking?
It has changed a lot. It's constantly changing now. I think a lot of filmmakers are a bit nervous about it. I'm intrigued to see how it goes.
They're completely grasping information from the AI.
Yeah. And
so how gonna it? So movies should be so natural, right?
I think so. I think you can't, no matter what AI becomes, I think there is a human connection that we all crave. So therefore, I don't think we're all gonna start, maybe, I don't know, maybe watching all AI movies, but I think we all still crave human interaction. So therefore, even when you watch a piece of AI, you don't feel connected to it because you know it's fake. Whereas when you watch acting, even though you know it's fake, you're connected because they're connected, because it's real. For them, it's real, so therefore it's real.
Actually, behaves as per your behavior.
Yeah. And that's what makes the connection.
Yeah.
Right? But no, I think AI is great for what it does and what it can make the film do, and it allows maybe more effects and visual stuff, but it won't stop connection. Because we always need to be connected. That's how stories are even created in the first place. You know what I mean? From historical, people told stories to connect to their culture, to connect to generations. So we want to tell good stories because that's how we connect with each other.
Filmmaking has impact on studios, or it's completely different. What do you say?
I think no, studios still have their place, because you need studios, because they can fund you the bigger budgets to do the bigger movie, the blockbuster films.
They are giving the bigger budgets and making filmmaking so
big.
Yeah.
So you still need those Hollywood films, but the studio's got to find a way to find the balance of big blockbuster movies and then supporting more independent films, because both audience want a bit of both. Sometimes you want those big action studio movies, lots of cars and actions, and then we want some indie films that are more on lower level, but the acting and the story is really great.
Yeah.
So we need a bit of both, and both is impactful to the industry because it's entertainment. Do you know what I mean? And we need everything. We need a bit of everything. Because sometimes you want to watch an action film, sometimes you want to watch a lovely rom-com. You know what I mean? You want to have a bit of everything. Yeah. I like dramas. I like.
What do you mean by that?
Social impactful films. Films that speak on the social, economic, or the social climate at that time. I love those films, one of the most. And then after that, I like biopics. I like learning about something that is also based on true story. I love when I watch a film and I find out that that's based on a true story. And that really happened, or it kind of happened. Maybe they took out some stuff, whatever. But it kind of was true. There's something about that that I really lean into. And then, yeah. And then I love films and I love Disney films as well. Like, I love films that you can watch with your family because it's for everyone. And there's a bit of everything for everyone. Like, you can watch a Disney movie or a film, maybe they'll say for children, but there are still some adult, things happening.
Some adult content.
Yeah, underlining. And I love when they do that because it means that the filmmakers have also thought about the parents.
What they more focus on when they are writing the script or shooting the film?
I think they focus on everything. I think there's a that's why you have multiple writers who they come in and they will focus on this part. Someone else will focus on this part. And we're always trying to tell just a cohesive story where especially with family films, where everyone can enjoy it. I think it's harder to make as well.
Everyone should enjoy one film, right?
Yeah.
So it's too hard to create script or prepare the script. What is the significance of character development in films?
The character development, I think the significance is that it's important. You need to make sure you develop your character in a very 3D way so that people believe who it is that you're being or playing. So you need it to be very wholesome. You need to know the strengths of the character, but the weaknesses. And then therefore when you watch it, you'll feel like you know this person. You watch a film and you're like, that's just like how my mom behaves, or that's just like my cousin. It's like that actor has really found nuances that makes it relatable. And even if you don't relate to that character, you know someone that you could put them two together with. And that's development, that's character development. And real character development, especially when you play villains, is when you find that they're not just bad for no reason. They're bad for a reason. And to them, it's a good reason. And then sometimes you watch a film and you're like, this person's bad in the story, but you don't feel like they're bad. And you can understand their moral compass. You can understand why they're behaving like this. And that's character development. Character development is super important. Yeah.
I've been seeing many documentaries in our world right now.
Yeah.
So what are the ethics of documentary filmmaking?
The ethics. There's so much. I think.
So it should be real, right?
It should be real, yeah, because it's real. It's real story, and you're following a subject or a subject of people or whatever. And it's about filming and following that person or subject's journey, whether it's a group or individual. I haven't made a lot of documentaries, but the documentaries I have done, the ethics behind it is always making the subject feel comfortable and make them feel like they're just going through their day-to-day. Because often when you make them feel like that, they will show you who they are, what they do, etc. And that is where you find the story. But it's about making them feel relaxed and comfortable, talking about or doing their career or whatever it is that they're doing, and you're being able to document that moment.
So they're gonna release exactly like a real story.
Yeah, I think with documentaries anyway, it's about following the story and filming enough footage to then piece it together to then tell the story that you wanna really highlight. Because it's a documentary, you wanna highlight their struggle or their issue or what they're trying to change or do. And as long as you make the subject feel relaxed and comfortable, that will show. Yeah.
What's one quote that you remember right now that always remembers you to be a man or to be a successful person? What's one quote?
One quote?
Yeah.
Oh, there's so many. I love quotes as well. So I think I said it before. I think it's one of my favorite quotes. Is to dream big dreams, but realize short-term realistic goals are the key to success. I think that's one of my favorites because it means for me, as a man, it means that you recognize your big dream, but now you're finding the small steps to get to that. Another quote that really sits with me is the way a man thinketh is so he will be. So basically saying that the way you think is also the way you will become. So if you see yourself and think that you're going to be this thing, soon enough, you will become that thing. If you truly think that and believe that, then it will be, a quote of people saying, the man that says he can and the man that says he can't, both are right, because it's what they think. What they think is true. So if I think I'm a success, I'm going to be a success because I constantly think and now I believe it. And that's important. That's why I always watch how I speak, how I think, because what you think is also what you then believe, and what you believe becomes true.